Chulkang moves slowly through the silent, empty parking garage, hunting for Seri with a steady, determined pace. Seri dashes into the small guard booth, praying he won't notice her. From this hiding spot, she watches him through the security cameras, her heart racing with a mix of fear and desperation. But Chulkang senses something is off and starts heading toward the booth, making Seri's breath catch and her chest tighten with panic. Just when it feels like she's trapped with no way out, her phone rings. It's Junghyuk. Chulkang answers the phone in cold and mocking tone to Junghyuk. Seri seizes the moment, quietly slipping out the door, each step heavy but filled with a flicker of hope that keeps her moving forward. Seri holds on just long enough for Junghyuk to arrive, her breath shaky but her voice brave as she yells that Chulkang is lying, asks him to go away from here. Junghyuk follows her voice through the quiet garage, and when he finally finds her, both of them let out a long, exhausted sigh, overwhelmed by relief and fear. But before they can fully recover, the security guards rush in. Chulkang vanishes into the shadows, slipping away without a trace. Later, back at home, Seri quietly calls a doctor to check a small knife wound Junghyuk got during the fight. Though the injury isn't serious, her worry is clear, and she asks the doctor to keep everything secret. After he leaves, the doctor gets into a van with Sehyang and Sangha and tells them there's a man staying at Seri's house. Sangha's eyes widen in surprise and confusion. Seri has never invited anyone like this in before. So why him? What makes him different? Seri is clearly upset when she finds out that Chulkang almost got a job at her company using a fake ID. Angrily, she says that here in South Korea, she can finally do things she never could in the north. Junghyuk looks at her with calm eyes and gently says, "You protected me." Her expression softens, and she quietly asks him not to leave until his wound has healed. Touched by her worry, Junghyuk gives a small nod, silently promising to stay. A week later, Seri and Secretary Hong visit a rough part of Seoul. Men who live in that neighborhood. Tells them that Seri has bought the buildings they live in. Then, brings up their recent fight with Junghyuk and makes an offer. Whoever brings solid proof of what happened will get to live there without paying rent. The room goes quiet as the men think it over, some tempted, others unsure of what's really going on. Seri also passes around a photo of Chulkang and offers a cash reward to anyone who finds him. As soon as she leaves, the men start making calls, reaching out to their contacts in hopes of claiming the prize. Later, Seri asks her assistants about Suchan, the man who once sold her life insurance. She finds him sitting alone, shivering at a cold bus stop. With kindness in her eyes, she tells him she knows how hard he tried to find her when she went missing in North Korea. Even though they were strangers, he was someone who truly wished for her return and never gave up believing she was alive somewhere. After her return, she quietly watched all the efforts he had put in and the struggles he went through to make others believe she was alive. Seeing his unwavering hope and relentless dedication touched her heart deeply, making her realize how much he truly cared compared to others. Suchan admits he had selfish reasons, but Seri, touched by his determination, offers him a job, thrice the amount of his old salary along with many added benefits and incentives. Suchan is stunned, his eyes welling with emotion, not expecting such generosity. Meanwhile, Junghyuk keeps his promise and stays at Seri's home while she's at work, letting his wound heal. But he can't shake a growing unease about how quickly Chulkang tracked Seri down. Worried, he opens her laptop and logs onto a site called Shield. There, he finds exactly what he feared, a file filled with detailed information on Chul Kang's activities in South Korea. The most shocking discovery is that Chul Kang managed to get a job at Seri's company because the CEO of the security firm once worked with him in North Korea, running a shady business. It hits Jung Hyuk hard. Chul Kang isn't acting alone. He has a whole network in South Korea who owe him favors, and now he's using that network to get what he wants. Meanwhile, the team gathers at the sauna to share what they've discovered so far. Manbok did what he does best. He hung around Seri's Choice building, quietly eavesdropping on office gossip. Now he knows which married workers are having affairs, but he still hasn't uncovered anything about Seri herself. Jisoo set up near a chicken restaurant close to Seri's home because she mentioned loving meat. Customers thought he was the valet, and he did such a good job that the owner actually hired him to deliver food. Unfortunately, Seri never ordered fried chicken, so Jisoo didn't find out where she lives, but he did make some easy money. Later, we see that Jung Hyuk had actually called the chicken place to order food, but Jisoo, busy enjoying free fried chicken, just let the phone ring off the hook. Jomok and Yoondong were sent to a PC cafe. Jomok seriously claimed he analyzed the mood of South Koreans, which Jisoo quickly translated as watched dramas all day. Yoondong wasn't much better. He spent the entire day playing online games under the name Desperate Effort and even got into a heated rivalry with someone called Tomato Cultivator. It turns out that Tomato Cultivator is actually Jung Hyuk. After losing a game duel, he vows revenge on Desperate Effort. When Seri comes home, she finds Jung Hyuk just about to storm out the door to settle the score in person. She already knows what he's been up to. He even used her credit card to buy things in the game. Jung Hyuk looks both embarrassed and a little stubborn as he explains that being a level 4 wizard takes a lot of resources. Seri, trying to keep him safe, tells him he's not allowed to go out and makes him log out of the game. She thinks if she hadn't come home when she did, he really would have gone to fight his rival for real. Jung Hyuk sulks quietly when Seri tells him she's put a parental lock on her computer to stop him from playing whole day. Kwangbum had the toughest day. He complains that he couldn't get anything done because people kept stopping him to hand him business cards. One man even said, "You're the one we've been looking for," which scared Kwangbum, making him think he'd accidentally blown their cover. But really, he was just attracting talent scouts because of his good looks. Back in North Korea, Dan gets a call from Seungjun. His electricity has gone out, and he's gotten sick from the cold. Just as he's explaining, his phone battery dies. Worried, Dan sneaks out to check on him. When she arrives, she finds Seungjun lying on the floor in the dark, so she gently helps him to bed. Still grumpy, Dan makes Seungjun some porridge but taps him on the head with the spoon, refusing to feed him herself. Seungjun complains that the porridge is too salty, but when Dan gets upset, he quietly explains that when he was a kid, they were so poor he had to eat salty porridge all the time. Dan snaps at Seungjun, saying she already knows what kind of person he was in South Korea. She's seen a file her uncle put together on him. She knows he was engaged to Seri, and after Seri ended things, he tricked Sehyang. She warns him not to try any tricks with her. Seungjun tells Dan that his father was cheated by someone he trusted and lost his company. They had to move to the UK, where all they could afford was salty porridge. He explains that his father died, his mother remarried, and he was sent away to boarding school. Dan asks Seung-joon why he became a con man after everything his family went through. He says it was for revenge. As the pieces come together, Dan realizes it was Seri's father who ruined Seung-joon's father. Seung-joon explains that he planned to marry into the family and destroy them from the inside. But when Seri turned out to be too clever, he shifted his focus to the greedy brother instead. Seung-joon admits he thought revenge would make him feel better, but it didn't. He remembers hearing that living well is the best revenge and wonders if maybe returning the money and living a good life would be better. Dan doesn't agree. She snaps at him to get better, go back to South Korea, and destroy Seri's family. Seung-joon grins and asks if she's angry enough to help him get his revenge. Overwhelmed and frustrated, Dan finds a hidden bottle of alcohol and drinks it straight. Later, Seri finds Jung-hyuk drinking a beer and offers him soju instead. They quietly share a few drinks together. Suddenly, Jung-hyuk says he wants to tell her something while she's feeling tipsy. He admits he doesn't want to leave, that he wants to stay with Seri. Feeling herself sober up quickly, Seri quickly takes another shot. Jung-hyuk keeps talking, saying, "I want to marry you here and have a child who looks just like you." Seri smiles and says she likes daughters. When Jung-hyuk adds that he likes twins, she takes another shot. She asks what else he wants to do, and with a soft smile, he says he wants to play piano again. Seri laughs and offers to buy him the Seoul Arts Center. Jung-hyuk tells her he wants to watch her grow old, with grey hair and wrinkles. Seri jokes that she plans to grow old very slowly, so he'll have to stay with her for a long time. Then she makes him pinky swear not to drink with other people, teasing that he's way too handsome when he's drunk. The next morning, Seung-joon wakes to find Dan lying beside him, hugging the almost empty bottle of liquor. He watches her sleep, amazed she can relax despite knowing he's a con man. But Dan's mother is upset to hear Dan spent the night with Seung-joon. She orders Colonel Go to use all his military power to dig up everything about him. Meanwhile, the village women worry about Young-ae, who hasn't been seen since her husband was arrested. Myung-suk fears she might be running out of food or firewood, but Wol-suk warns that the State Security Department is likely watching her house. If they visit and get caught, no one will be able to help. Seri and Jung-hyuk dress up nicely for the grand opening of a new Seri's Choice home goods store. Seri notices Jung-hyuk's watch for the first time. It was given by Manbok, which was Hung-hyuk's brother's watch. She tells him it's the same watch she purchased for giving him on Christmas, which was lost when she was kidnapped. Jung-hyuk is amazed and says, "You saved me without even knowing it." At the grand opening, Seri gives a heartfelt speech to the employees and officially opens the store. Meanwhile, the teammates see an ad for the event and decide this is their chance to catch up with Seri. They dress like South Korean men and split up to search for her. Their plan backfires spectacularly. The employees notice their strange behavior and quickly alert the manager. Manbok hears they've been singled out and warns the others to be careful. They all know getting caught now would be disastrous. They have to wake Yoon-dong, who has completely fallen asleep on a bed in the showroom, snoring softly. A security guard tries to return Yoon-dong's shoes, which he left behind, but the team misunderstands and panics, rushing out the door as fast as they can. Jung-hyuk rounds the corner just in time to see Yoon-dong slipping on his socks, while Jomok goes back inside to help him up. They don't stop running until they reach a nearby park, where they finally notice that Yoon-dong still isn't wearing his shoes. For a moment, silence falls over the group as they catch their breath, realizing just how close they came to getting caught. Jisoo scolds Yoon-dong loudly for falling asleep at such a bad time, which upsets Yoon-dong so much he nearly breaks down in tears. Trying to lighten the mood, Jisoo offers his own shoes, but Yoon-dong stubbornly refuses, feeling every bit like the immature 17-year-old he really is. The mix of frustration and embarrassment weighs heavily on him as the others watch silently. Suddenly, Junghyuk walks up carrying Yoon-dong's shoes and kneels down to help him put them on. The teammates are so shocked to see Junghyuk that they fall silent, as if a heavy weight has been lifted simply by his presence. Then, Yoon-dong throws himself at Junghyuk in a sudden, grateful hug. Jomok and Kwangbum join in with warm embraces, while Jisoo and Manbok watch quietly, tears welling up in their eyes. Meanwhile, Seri notices Junghyuk is missing but is quickly distracted when Seungjoon and Hyeji approach, acting hurt that she hasn't shared her struggles about being stuck in North Korea with them. Seungjoon says they have their mother's full support and suggests Seri back him in standing against Sehyung and Sangha. Seri surprises them with another idea. She wants Seungjoon and their mother to support her instead, against Sehyung. But Seungjoon complains that she's being selfish. In a careless moment, Seungjoon lets slip that Sehyung tried to leave Seri stranded in North Korea. He says he heard this from manager Ok, Seungjoon's former henchman. Seungjoon adds that manager Oh has been hanging around Sehyung and spending a lot of money lately. Seri immediately tells Seungjoon to find out who's been giving manager Oh the money and what the real reason behind it is. Her eyes harden with determination. She knows this could be the key to uncovering a bigger conspiracy. Junghyuk finally calls Seri and tells her he's found the teammates. When she arrives at the park, Yoon-dong runs to hug her tightly, followed closely by a tearful Jomok. Jisoo acts like he doesn't want a hug, but when Seri opens her arms, he smiles and goes in anyway. Seri and the 4 original teammates share a big group hug, filled with relief and happiness. Junghyuk watches with a warm, fond smile, his heart quietly swelling with pride to see them reunited. But when the hug drags on a little too long, he playfully swats their hands away, teasing to protect his lady. He then introduces Seri to Manbok, who shyly admits he's seen her several times back in the village and even heard her talking. They all head back to Seri's place, and Manbok immediately starts searching the room for hidden surveillance bugs. Seri reassures him there aren't any. Jisoo jokingly accuses her of lying about owning such a big home, while the others look around in awe at the luxuries, hot water and electricity that never go out at night. They exchange looks of disbelief and quiet gratitude, marveling at comforts they never thought they'd experience. Youngai's son brings her some food to help keep her strength up. As they eat, he asks if they'll have to leave the village and why she told him not to see his friends. Before she can answer, a knock at the door startles Youngae. She fears they might be arrested. But it's only Maeng-suk, who has brought some potatoes just in case Youngae is running low on food. Moments later, Okjum arrives with fermented bread, and then Wol-suk comes pushing a whole wheelbarrow full of firewood. More women follow, carrying food, too. Though Youngae snaps at them, worried they could get in trouble, her heart fills so much she can't hold back tears. That night, Seri arranges grilled meat for the teammates. Jisoo eagerly stuffs his face, joking that he's just getting revenge because Seri had eaten all of Junghyuk's food earlier. Seri laughs and tells him he'd have to eat all the meat in the country if he's trying to bankrupt her. They all share a warm, happy moment, feeling like a real family for the first time in a long while. The teammates tease Junghyuk for giving most of the meat to Seri, and Jomok jokingly calls him lover boy. Even Jisoo admits it's kind of romantic to follow a woman all the way to South Korea, which makes the others laugh at him. Manbok watches Junghyuk and Seri with a warm smile, but then something crosses his mind, and his smile fades. Later, Seri accidentally overhears Manbok talking to Junghyuk about their deadline to bring him home. Junghyuk argues fiercely that he must stop Chulkang first, or Chulkang will kidnap Seri, take her back to North Korea, and then come after Junghyuk and his father. Manbok reassures him that Seri will be okay, protected by her money and social status. The next morning, Seri's parents have seaweed soup for her birthday, even though none of her children came. Seri's stepmom angrily accuses her husband of knowing Seri was in North Korea and keeping it a secret. She asks if he thought she would use that against their daughter, and he quietly admits that he did. The house feels heavy with unspoken pain, and Seri's absence weighs on everyone in different ways. Seri's stepmom tells her husband that Sehyang hired people to stop Seri from coming back. In a flashback, we see Secretary Hong and Suchan bringing an audio recording of Seri to Chairman Yu. They explain that Sehyang told the police it wasn't really Seri's voice. Sehyang had been there too, claiming they had received many false reports from people saying they'd seen Seri, convincing Chairman Yu to believe him. Seri tries to leave for work early, before anyone else is awake, but Junghyuk catches her. He starts to say something, but she quickly talks over him, asking if his wound has healed. When he says yes, Seri tells him that since he kept his promise, he's free to go now. She spends the whole day at work feeling distracted, constantly checking her phone, hoping for a message from Junghyuk, but the message never comes, and each minute without news feels heavier than the last. Later in the day, Junghyuk and the teammates quietly leave Seri's place together, leaving her to wonder what's next. Seri's stepmother comes to see her at work and says she knows what Sehyang did while Seri was in North Korea. Seri asks bitterly if she's taking Seungjoon's side against Sehyang. Sure, it's not because of her since she's not stepmom's real daughter. Stepmom insists it's not like that, but Seri snaps, saying she doesn't trust her at all. In a flashback, a young Seri walks on the beach with her stepmother, who looks upset. Stepmom tells Seri to wait while she goes to get drinks. Seri spends the whole night quietly counting to 100 over and over, hoping stepmom would come back, but no matter how many times she counted, stepmom never returned. Now, Seri tells her stepmother there's a part of her heart still stuck on that cold beach, waiting. She admits she's often wondered if it might have been better if she'd never been born. Stepmom says Seri doesn't have to believe her, but Seri snaps sharply, telling her never to visit on her birthday again. The pain between them hangs heavy in the air, thick and unspoken, as both carry wounds too deep for words. Manager Oh takes Chulkang to meet Sehyang and Sanga, explaining that they all share the same goal, to get rid of Seri. Sehyang asks what will happen to Seri if Chulkang takes her back to North Korea, but Chulkang refuses to promise her safety. Surprisingly, Sehyang draws a line. He doesn't want Seri killed. He storms out with Manager Oh, leaving Sanga behind. Sanga, however, offers Chulkang plenty of money to carry out the plan, including details like Seri's address. When Seri returns home after work, she finds her apartment dark and empty. Though she told Junghyuk she'd be fine after he left, she collapses onto the floor and cries her heart out. Suddenly, she hears a noise, the lights turn on, and Junghyuk and the others appear wearing party hats and holding gifts. It's a surprise party. Seri cries even harder and runs out of the room. Everyone looks at Junghyuk until he follows her. Catching up, he softly apologizes. She admits she was crying because she was scared. She sobs, "From now on, I'll remember this good day every year on my birthday." Junghyuk wraps his arms around her from behind and holds her close. He whispers in her ear, "Next year, and the year after that, and every year after will be good. Because I'll be thinking of you. I'll be thankful you were born into this world. I'll be grateful that the person I love is still here, still breathing. That's why your birthday will always be a good day." Additional scene. After losing the video game battle to Yoon Dong, Junghyuk leans back in his chair and takes a deep breath. His eyes catch something on Seri's desk, a small recorder. Curious, he presses play and hears Seri's voice saying her final goodbyes to her family from a bridge in Switzerland. She mentions it's her birthday. Junghyuk glances at the calendar and realizes today is her birthday. He remembers being on that very same bridge, asking a woman to take his picture with Dan. Then, suddenly, he hears his own voice on the recording. A soft smile of wonder spreads across his face as he realizes that the woman who took the photo was Seri. He whispers to himself, it wasn't just a coincidence, it was fate. His heart feels full, knowing their lives were somehow meant to cross. He carefully pockets the recorder and starts to leave. Just then, Seri walks through the door. Thinking quickly, Junghyuk makes up a story, saying he's going out to meet someone.